I'm going to go over 3 tickers starting with Palantir. We ended the day at $119.91, down 7.77%. We took a beating. This is where we ended at support. To the north side from where we are takes us to one level of resistance and a potential take profit area at 121.07. Above that, at the middle of the trend, takes us back to a spot we've been to before, and that is 126.17. Since we hit that spot here on Friday the 30th, I'm going to just move it right there. I don't need all these lines, but I just like to draw them out for you. Just to show you where support and resistance could be. But right now, this is the middle of the trend, and this will act as resistance. If we move to the upside, we could chop sideways, or we could continue this downward path, which we are in right now on the 5-minute time frame. Above that takes us to roughly 131.35, 133.91, and don't hold your breath for a price to get to this level. That is 136.66, and this is resistance and a potential sell limit area, as well as this area and this area. And to the downside, we'll close out this gap. That takes us to roughly 118.48, and at negative 4 standard deviations, that will take us to 115.79. If we hit this level, I will anticipate a buy-in as people buy the dip as well. Note this gap that I marked out on Tuesday, May 18th, taking us down to 18.47. I marked it at 18.49 here, but let's just fix it while I'm here. We almost closed it out, but we did not. I will anticipate we close it out on Friday. That's a very doable area. And this is an anticipated move to the downside. And let me clean up the chart here. This move to the downside, I also anticipated with this gap to the downside. We gapped up, and you know what happens. What goes up must go down. And we hit that to the downside on roughly, today, January 5th, and took us to roughly 122.51. This is no longer in play, no longer a threat to our account to the downside. Congrats if you played it short, knowing that we would pop up to reverse to the south side. Done. And what happened here? Why did I mark this? Sometimes I accidentally hit something, and I'm going to delete that. And that is right here. By the way, pro tip for you, if you lose this bar here that you favorite it by adding onto here, all you have to do is hit this star, and it will find its way back onto your chart. All right. What happened? Look at this. From down here, this is resistance, and you know what happens? Boom, flush to the south side, back up to the middle of the trend, grinding along this path, up to the next level of resistance, falling down. Do not anticipate price to get out of 4SD up to here, okay? This is 2, 3, and 4. Don't even hold your breath for 4, but 3 could be a hit, could be a miss, typically a miss. Price typically stays within that -2 and 2 SD all day long, and this is a clear sign of that. And here, and here, and then a breakdown, and then a pop. This is resistance falling back down, and it will fall back down to close out this gap and then target this gap also. So if you haven't gotten in and you're hoping to buy the dip, well, here's your opportunity. Here's another opportunity. And another opportunity here, and I might as well just drag this one out as well. So many people love to short this ticker. Okay, and what else? That's it. Let's move on to the next one. I think I've cleaned up all my gaps. Oh, apparently I sold some here for an 11% return. I bought some down here. Why do I have this marked? Oh, that's because this gap closed and I have not cleaned it up. Right there it touched. Okay, so I need to get rid of that and that. No longer in play. And then what? Oh, this was just a tiny little gap that closed almost immediately. All right, let's go on to the next one. I've got Tesla. All right, wow, what beef? Oh, Tesla. Between Trump and Elon Musk. And now we know why the Epstein files have not been released. But you know what? We all knew that. We all know both sides of the fence are on that list, Democrats and Republicans. They're all shady. Every single one of those people who are trying to block it have a reason to block it. And that's why Ducey, the reporter, I have never asked or heard anyone ask the president, why has he not released the Epstein files? And now Bondi has ruined her reputation over that. That woman needs to go. And President Trump needs to start answering questions about that. Okay, I digress. Let's get back to this ticker. I'm just going to give you price targets. 284.70 is where we ended. We are at resistance from down here up here, so we might fall a little bit more to go back up again. We took a hit today, down 14%. To the north side, 308.78, and then up here that will close out this gap at 331.87. Don't hold your breath for level price to get to this level in one day. Down the road, perhaps 342.61, and on a brighter note, that will take us to 354.30. To the south side, oh, let me draw out the middle of the trend. Oops, Command Z if you want to undo what you just did. You have to put it one tick over if you have the magnet turned on. So there we go. Let me turn this to purple. Very close to this line. I should just delete it, but where did I mark that? I marked that one out on Friday the 9th. So, well, you know what? No, I'm just going to see if this acts as support and resistance as well, and then I'll delete that later. But the yellow lines are from 2024. I know it looks like a hot mess, but I know what the mess is. I know what every line is supposed to be. 274.16 in general. All right, 262.84 for support. And then here were some anticipated moves that I have already been anticipating to the south side, because there was a gap here. We gapped up on some good news. And you know how Tesla likes to whip us around. Boom. Done. Delete. That took us down to 299.15. Boom. And 340.14. Okay. And that took us down to 358.31. All right, so this gap right here that opened up on Friday the 9th closed right here today on the Thursday the 5th. That took us down to 289.91 and 286.69. Done. All right. Even if there were no bad news, it would just be a cycle, I feel like. But that bad news, because of the feud, took us and slammed us down. And I feel like it was going to happen anyway, but because of the news, it did. Because these are gaps that typically get filled. Okay. So that is done, yay. I don't like those gaps. Those are like landmines to the south side. I want them cleared, gone, finished. We hit it and we go. So this is another gap to the downside, 238.39. We've got another mini one down here that will haunt us. And then we've got another one down here, 201.65. My sister thinks I lost money with Tesla. She's anti-Tesla. And not me. I love what he's doing. I love that he calls out Waste, fraud, and abuse. He's the only guy with money that can weather the storm and doesn't care. And he cares about the people. I don't care about the politics. It's the person, and he's not afraid to do what he does. That takes a lot of guts. All right, what happened here? Okay, that's still the gap to the downside. Okay, I'm done cleaning that up. And, oh, I did take a trade. I think I did a video on this. I'm sure I did. All right, I bought some at 231.83 a long time ago, and I got off the gravy train at a 31% return. But look, if I had stayed in and not gotten out because all the bad news previously, I could have bought and sold at, look at this, a 57% return before it started to crater. This is why you can't really listen to the news, and you got to look at the chart to see what is happening and read the RSI, read the MACD, Bollinger Bands, Fibonacci retracements, patterns, whatever you like to play, not necessarily the news, because sometimes that news is fake, and then that's people just trying to get you out. Okay, but I still have shares in the $100 range. At some point I will sell out, but I am not selling out until we hit new highs above that. Those are my keeper ones. I just wanted to get rid of this lot. Okay, and then buy back. Oh, my thought was to buy it back cheaper. So we have a gap here and a gap here, so I definitely will buy in at this range once we go down more, because we are still in a downward channel. But obviously you can hit support and then bounce and then get slammed back down again. So watch out for that. Okay, the last one I want to go over. Oh, no, I have to show you something. This article. Okay, this article, the stakes, as reported by the Wall Street Journal. Okay, take that with a grain of salt. But anyway, this last thing, they buried this. Look at this. On Thursday, Musk mused about starting a new political party, asking his 220 million followers on X if they'd support creating one. By Thursday night, more than 81% of the roughly 3.5 million respondents were in favor. I am so in favor of it. He will never be allowed to be president, obviously, because was not born here. And it doesn't matter. He can sway the vote. So I approve. I think that would be amazing. And I want that Epstein list released. And I hope Trump continues to talk about that. And Trump, gosh on it, Elon. Okay, next. Team. Okay, I talked about this a long time ago. And I'll have to show, excuse me. What the heck happened here? This got wonky on me. Let me delete that. All right, first I'm going to give you price targets for Thursday. 218.60 is where we ended, up 3.64%. We are basically at the middle of the trend. Let me just turn the magnet back on, okay? Okay. And to the north side, 221.72, obviously many levels of support and resistance in between. You know what to do. 223.48, don't hold your breath. 225.25, 214.88, 213.15, 211.38. Resistance, tanking, back to support, bounce. Resistance, profit taking, back to support and a bounce. This gap closed out already. Resistance, sell-off, support, bounce. This gap I talked about took us down to 206.89. That closed. And I didn't talk about it. I just drew it out for myself. All right, let's go to the daily so you can see this in the bigger picture. Okay. So when I looked at price, we went as low as 153.18. On the daily, the range to the north side takes us to 250.83, and 178.94-ish. This gap needs to be cleaned up, so we are done. We touched that right there. So we went up and then reversed course. That took us down to 267.54. The 52-week high, 326. There's a gap right here that took us down to this level, 192, already closed out. That gap is done. That gap is done. All right, and the RSI, what are we looking at? Oh, turning up. We've got room to move to the upside. Here's the weekly. Look at that fallout. You know that's going to happen. Pay attention to the charts. Everything you need to know is in the chart for when to get out. For a crash that might time out with the economy, it may not. There's always an excuse. Just look at the chart, and then they'll make an excuse sometimes. All right, that's it there. RSI, going up a little bit. Okay, that is a look at, I have to do, AVGO. Oh my, you know what? I'm going to make another recording and put AVGO on that one. So that will do it for this round. That's Palantir, Tesla, and Team on the 5-minute time frame. Thank you for watching and have a great trading day.